Confronting intimate partner violence.
Toronto Police Project Hope raises awareness for newcomers. Today we're covering a critical community event on intimate partner violence held at the Ismaili Centre in Toronto.
The session was organized by Toronto Police Services Project Hope, led by Constable Mustafa Popalzai and Sergeant Farzad Ghotbi, both former neighbourhood community officers in Regent Park.
The goal was to support newcomers to Canada by raising awareness about intimate partner violence and connecting them with vital resources.
Staff Sergeant Mike DeSilva served as an MC for the event. The event also featured leaders from community organizations including COSTI Immigrant Services and Polycultural Immigrant and Community Services, as well as Scott McKean, Director of Community Safety and Well-Being for the City of Toronto. Superintendent Anthony Pauletta emphasized the police service's commitment to the community safety and educating residents about intimate partner violence.
Detective Shane Miller from the Sex Crimes Unit delivered a detailed presentation on the different forms of intimate partner violence, from physical abuse to coercive control, and shared guidance on how survivors and their supporters can access help. Inspector Roger Carcello, Toronto's police subject matter expert on intimate partner violence, was present to provide additional insights and guidance.
The session also included a Q&A, giving attendees the opportunity to ask questions and engage directly with experts.
The issue has been declared an epidemic by the City of Toronto, highlighting its urgency in local communities like Regent Park.
Before we take you to the highlights of the Intimate Partner Violence information session, our Regent Park TV reporter Fred Alvarado spoke with police officers and community members to understand the impacts of the event and the crucial role of community partnerships in supporting newcomers and building safer neighborhoods.
Hi, my name is Jackie from Polycultural Immigrant and Community Services. It is very important for us as a community partner to be here today because we do have services that they can be referred to. For example, the well-being, we have services for well-being. So once they attend this workshop, they can always be referred to Polycultural so that they can continue to be guided on how to prevent IPV in their families or in their communities.
This event really opened up my eyes, obviously. Once again, we see the need that, with all the questions that were asked tonight regarding the intimate partner violence and being the month of intimate partner violence, you could see people are taking time out of their own family to come here to seek for education, to seek for information, to find out some of the things that they may not understand or may not be clear for them. Because number one, we have religion. I got a lot of questions about, does religion supersede the law? But my religion says this. We don't look at it from the law standard point of view, and this is why we're here. This is why we come together here to educate and say, yes, we can practice what our beliefs are at home, but at the end of the day, we also have to keep in mind that the law is there to protect all of us, is to keep the families together, and if that for some reason is not there, then we lose the fabric of our society. We need to follow certain rules and regulations. And sometimes people just need advice, and it doesn't mean that you just call the police. That's why we brought all the resources here with us. These are our partners. These are the people that are out there that are waiting for people to come to them and say, hey, if you have a question, they can answer it. And if they can't answer it, they have other people other resources are there to answer. Because let's face it, we all come from different parts of the world, and we all have different beliefs and different traditions. But now, thankfully, with City of Toronto, they have all those different types of resources. There's somebody there, and I even said myself tonight, reach out to your neighborhood community officers. I was one for over a decade. I still feel like I am still. And people come to me and ask those questions, and we can provide this information so that it may not necessitate calling 911, right? It's easier to deal with those kind of situations before it gets to where it needs to be. So I believe this was great and successful because people are asking a lot of questions. It means there's a need for this. And it's great to have great partners such as Regent Park TV to cover this, to bring this awareness to everybody, because it's not just a family problem, it's a society problem, because our fabric of our society it revolves around family. And if we have broken families, we're going to have a broken society. So thank you for Regent Park TV for covering this. It is a very important and sensitive topic, but it's something that we need to talk about it and bring it forward. So appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Neda. I work with Jewish Immigrant Aid Services, JIS. It's a settlement organization. We offer settlement services to people from different backgrounds and different faith. And tonight I was invited to this program, and it was an amazing program, and it was so important. I'm very happy to be like a part of Project Hope, because I can see that they are doing a lot for newcomers. It has been always difficult for people in a new country with new language and new systems. I myself am a newcomer, so I can understand that what they are doing is really very important. And also the topic of today's event was very, very important. I can see that there are a lot of families that they are victims of domestic violence. And it's very, very good to introduce the available resources in the community to them, so they can contact if they need anything.
My name is Anthony Paoletta. I'm a superintendent with the Toronto Police Service, and I currently oversee the Community Partnerships and Engagement Unit. As I mentioned earlier this evening, this event is extremely important. November is Intimate Partner Violence Awareness Month, and it is extremely important that we have the opportunity to come here tonight to share important messaging on what is intimate partner violence, how we can create awareness for the resources that are available in our communities to support the families and victims of intimate partner violence. Our collaboration with agencies like Multicultural Services and even Project Hope is extremely important, because we're able to reach greater community members and have a bigger impact on this very important topic.
Tonight is a wonderful example of what a collaborative Project Hope can do in the community, specifically with newcomers. Tonight we are addressing intimate partner violence. We are addressing what intimate partner violence is, where to report such crimes, and the supports that are available. The impact, immeasurable. When you have newcomers coming to Canada, when you have people in the community coming and actually speaking face-to-face with the support services in a very safe environment and learning about how to report such incidents, it can't be measured other than with success. The work that Project Hope continues to do with the community in collaboration with the Toronto Police Service and all the support services are here, it is amazing. We had lots of questions tonight. What we got tonight and what we accomplished tonight is collaboration. We accomplished education. We accomplished knowledge. We listened to some of the trials and tribulations and the challenges that some of the community members have, specifically being newcomers to Canada, and what we can do and what we learned as a Toronto Police Service to some of the things they're facing, and how sometimes we can be more tolerant and we can understand better ways to communicate them, not just alone, but with our partners. That's what we want to do with the community. We want to work together. We want to continue to work together, but we need you. We can't do it alone, and these collaborations are the best things that happen for everybody.
Wow, that was an amazing event. We just wrapped up our Intimate Partner Violence event at the Ismaili Centre. We had over 200 newcomers in attendance. We had a number of our partners from our communities, a number of organizations that provide resources to victims of intimate partner violence. Overall, the engagement, the attendance, the interactions with officers and newcomers was absolutely phenomenal. It was a very, very successful event. Indeed, this was Project Hope's first official event in relation to intimate partner violence. I do want to mention that we have held obviously over 100 information sessions for newcomers, and I often get questioned what is the most important asked questions or concerns for newcomers. And let me tell you, it is definitely intimate partner violence. And the reason for that is it breaks too many newcomer families and the problems that it causes, the effects that it has, the negative effects it has on children. I mean, my personal belief is broken homes turn into broken communities, and intimate partner violence unfortunately contributes to that tremendously. So one of our main goals has been to provide newcomers with information in relation to the court processes, the laws, the regulations surrounding intimate partner violence. And that's exactly what happened today. We had professionals, we had experts in the field that came up and provided newcomers information. And I was quite surprised to say that the questions kept coming. And that shows me one thing, that the event was successful and that people were engaged. Some of the conversations were tough. However, they're really important for us to have and to listen to our citizens who have concerns or questions. So overall, this was a great event, and this will not be our last one. We'll have it again in the future as well. And as usual, I want to thank Regent Park TV for once again coming out there outside the 51 division and covering this very important event that we had for newcomers. And by recording this event tonight, the message can be spread out to so many other newcomers who were not able to be here today. So my special thanks to Fred and Regent Park TV for always being there for our community and making sure that our communities are safe and well informed. So thank you so much.
Now we take you inside the intimate partner violence session, including presentations and the Q&A for newcomers.
Good evening. My name is Mike DeSilva. I'm a staff sergeant with the Community Partnerships and Engagement Unit of the Toronto Police Service. I'd like to welcome you all and thank you all for being here with us today on this beautiful rainy day. To begin our evening tonight, I would like to introduce you all to the Unit Commander of Community Partnerships and Engagement Unit, Superintendent Anthony Paletta.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening. I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to come here this evening. I do want to acknowledge we've made you wait a little bit, but the weather and the roads certainly caught up to us and there was a lot of traffic. But it is absolutely a pleasure to have seen everybody here tonight and to meet you all. As we gather this evening and discuss this very important session on intimate partner violence, our aim is to raise awareness and foster understanding within our communities. As members of the Toronto Police Service, our primary goal is to ensure the safety and well-being of all of our individuals that live in our communities. Intimate partner violence affects people from all walks of life, and it is our responsibility to raise awareness and provide support for survivors of intimate partner violence. Today, we will share important information about what constitutes intimate partner violence, what signs we have to look for, and more importantly, what are the resources that we have available both within the Toronto Police Service and through our community partners, emphasizing that help and support is accessible, and seeking support is not only encouraged, but extremely vital. I really encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation and share any thoughts you may have. Together, we can create a safer community by breaking the silence surrounding this very important issue of intimate partner violence. Your participation today is vital in the step forwards in supporting those who might be suffering in silence. Before we begin our presentation, I would like to acknowledge our valued partners and pay special tribute and introduce Project Hope. Project Hope was established in 2021 by PC Mustafa Popalzai and Sergeant Farzad Ghotbi. This initiative aims to connect with newcomers at an early point to foster trust through information sessions and link them with support to agencies, resources, families, and friends across the Greater Toronto Area. The project's mission is simple: to connect the newcomers in Canada at the earliest opportunity and build positive relationships and trust through these sessions, through initiatives, and by being present in our communities that provide all newcomers with the opportunities to learn about the laws here in Canada, the role of the police, and what your rights are here in Canada. Furthermore, Project Hope connects newcomers to various support agencies across the Greater Toronto Area and organizes donation drives that provide clothing and essential needs at a very timely point in an individual's life. I would also like to thank COSTI Immigrant Services, Polycultural Immigrant and Community Services, and Victim Services Toronto for their attendance this evening and for their tremendous support throughout this period of time, not only throughout Intimate Partner Violence Month, but throughout the entire year. Thank you for your collective efforts. The Toronto Police greatly appreciates what you do. I'd also like to take a minute to acknowledge just a few individuals. And please, I apologize for my mispronunciation. I'll try to get this right. I would like to thank Tanaz Pardiwaya, Director of Education at COSTI, Jackie Ninsilma of Polycultural Immigrant and Community Services, Scott McKean, the Director of Community Safety Wellbeing at the City of Toronto, Anna Cuello, Project Coordinator, Agent Court Community Services Association, Natalia Rodriguez, Mennonite New Life Center of Toronto, Iman Alkuli, Share to Care, Nita Karger from the Jewish Immigrant Aid Services, Irena Kalakalio of the Canadian Ukrainian Immigrant and Aid Society, Jonathan Okube, New NAFCA Eritrean Youth Organization, Zora Najwa, the Afghan Women's Organization, Detective Shane Miller of the Toronto Police Sex Crimes Unit, officers from 41 Division and 33 Division Neighborhood Community Officer Program. And I'd also like to thank the many volunteers that are here tonight from Centennial College, our Toronto Police Auxiliary members that are here tonight, as well as the members from the Community Partnership and Engagement Unit. You'll notice that we have some information tables at the back. I really, really appreciate the support this evening, and really hope that you'll be able to speak to some of these people that are at the tables. I would like to, I'm almost done my acknowledgements, but I give a very, very special thank you to the Ismaili Centre of Toronto for providing this beautiful venue, and to our, yes, please, a round of applause. And special thanks to Arishla Bandeli and Moyaz Sidi of the Ismaili Council for their partnership and support in organizing this wonderful event. This is a difficult conversation to have. We realize that, but it is an important one. So thank you for making the effort to be here tonight. Thank you for having the courage to come here tonight. And let's try to work together to make a difference in the City of Toronto. Thank you. I don't believe, and actually, before I do turn it over back to Mike, Inspector Roger Caracciolo, could you please just identify yourself for me? I would like to, thank you. I'd like to introduce Inspector Caracciolo as a senior officer that is assigned to Community Partnerships and Engagement Unit. He supports me tremendously in our efforts to build partnerships in the community, to oversee important programs like our Neighborhood Community Officer Program, our Crime Prevention Program, and he also is our subject matter expert when it comes to intimate partner violence for the City of Toronto and the Toronto Police Service, and he is our liaison between the Toronto Police and the City of Toronto. So thank you very much, Roger, for coming tonight. I encourage you to say hello to him if you have an opportunity this evening. So thank you once again, and I will turn it back to Mike.
I'd like to bring up our next guest for their speaking opportunity. I'd like to introduce you to Tanaz Pardawala of COSTI Immigrant Services.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be here with you all this evening. It's nice to see all of your faces. Thanks for coming out on a rainy evening, but it feels so good to be in community with all of you. My name is Tanaz Pardawala. I'm the Director of Education Services at COSTI Immigrant Services, and I'm so happy to be here to share some remarks on behalf of our CEO, Anita Stellinga, and on behalf of the entire COSTI team. We are truly grateful to be part of this important event during Intimate Partner Violence Awareness Month. COSTI has been supporting safety, empowerment, and well-being of individuals and families for more than 70 years. While our services span across settlement, housing, employment, skills development, mental health, and social supports, at the heart of all the work that we do is something very simple. Everyone deserves to feel safe. Intimate partner violence remains a deeply urgent issue, one that requires not only awareness, but shared responsibility and collaboration across all communities. COSTI is committed to working collectively to ensure that individuals can access the support and services they need in a way that best works for them. We have 17 offices across the GTA and a growing digital outreach. We are committed to reaching as many people as possible with the support that is accessible, compassionate, and human. On behalf of Anita, we thank Project Hope and all the community organizations that are here as well. It's always a pleasure to be out in community with you and to collaborate on initiatives like this. So thank you very much and for allowing us to have a voice here and to raise awareness about intimate partner violence and for supporting the individuals and families who deserve safety, dignity, and hope. Thank you very much.
And next, I'd like to introduce you to Jackie Nsima of Polycultural Immigrant and Community Services.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, Michael did tell me that I was going to say something, but it's okay. I'll come up with something. I'm very pleased to be here with you all tonight, and my name is Jackie. I'm one of the program coordinators at Polycultural Immigrant and Community Services. My program is to make sure that kids, children, are enrolled in schools, survive in schools, succeed in schools, and also we also help their parents and guardians settle in their communities. So Polycultural, we are widely spread across the GTA. We have offices in Orangeville, Scarborough, Toronto, Etobicoke, Mississauga, and we have been partnering with Toronto Police and Project Hope. I think it's over 4 years now. We do serve and help individuals and communities have an equal opportunity to be productive members of the Canadian society. So we help newcomers and be with them, be part of them in their entire settlement process. So we make sure that we help you feel at home. Some of our services, we do assist seniors' well-being. We place vulnerable youth for jobs. We connect individuals to resources. We advance newcomers' language skills. We have language classes. And we also support parents, guardians find employment. We'll help your children enroll in school, and plus other settlement needs that you might be having. As the superintendent mentioned, it is everyone's, I think, a right to feel safe. And it is important for polyculture to be part of this event tonight, because after this presentation, trust me, you might need someone to talk to. You might need someone to listen to you, because at times all we need is an ear. We need someone to listen to us. And it is very important for us as polyculture to be part of this event tonight, because we have a well-being support team that you can reach out to, talk to. So do not feel shy. Come at our table at the back and talk to us, reach out to us, and we'll be able to support you and make sure that you feel safe. Once again, we are very privileged to be part of this event tonight. Thank you.
Okay, next I'd like to call up to the podium from the City of Toronto, the Director of Community Safety and Wellbeing, Mr. Scott McKean.
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. Nice to see some friends in the audience. On behalf of the City of Toronto and Toronto City Council, I'm honored to be here, and thank you for having me here in this space. My name is Scott McKean, and I am the Director of Community Safety and Wellbeing, and my job is really to help lead the implementation of SAFETO, which is the City of Toronto's Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. We're trying to look holistically at safety, and the plan itself deals with a number of different issues, one of which is gender-based and intimate partner violence. And so we partner with Toronto Police Service and some of the amazing agencies that are here in the room to provide some supports. I know we're tight on time, so I just really want to give you some quick facts that will help. So if you need to access the City of Toronto service, 311 on your phone. Once you call 311, on the other end, they will guide you to any city service. And so if you have questions about a particular city service, they will make sure that they can connect you to the most appropriate city service. That's number one. If you need access to community services, like mental health supports or supports for young people, 211. Dial that number, and they will guide you to the most appropriate service that you need. I also wanted to let you know that the City of Toronto has a newcomer office. And I know that that's a theme here tonight. And so toronto.ca/newcomer. If you go there is an abundance of resources. And Allison Stanley, the manager of the Toronto Newcomer office, couldn't be here tonight due to childcare obligations. And so I wanted to make sure that you knew that when it comes to newcomer offices, if you are a newcomer and you need services, the first thing is that at any city facility, there is a newcomer kiosk. And you can access resources there and connect to appropriate services in any. So if it's a Toronto Employment Social Services facility, a community center, City Hall, you can access one of these kiosks. And that will, as a newcomer, give you, here's a scope of services that are available to you. The second thing I want to just let you know is in Toronto, as a newcomer, no matter of your status, you have access to city services. I want you to tell your friends that, because sometimes people think that you don't. And so if it's, for example, parks, forestry, and recreation, our recreational programs, we have a welcome policy that helps make sure people can have access to the program. As a newcomer, no matter of your status, you have access to that service. We have a transit fare program called Fare Pass. You have access to those programs. So for more information, again, you can visit toronto.ca/newcomer. You can visit 311 or you can look up SafeTO. In terms of gender-based and intimate partner violence, I can't outdo the woman who spoke and the folks that spoke before me. But all I want you to know is that we're all working collaboratively to address this issue, and no one has to go through that alone. So if you need support, there is support available, and I want to make sure that you know that and you tell your friends. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm going to be here if you have any questions, and appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Now, one of the programs I have the honor of overseeing at Community Partnerships and Engagement Unit is the Neighborhood Community Officer Program. The Neighborhood Community Officer Program, also known as the NCO program, is something I hold very dear to my heart. In my opinion, the NCO program is probably the best initiative that the Toronto Police Service has come up with in my 25 years on this job. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to be a part of the program. One of the things that NCOs do is that they connect with their community. We have 3 NCOs with us today, 2 from 41 and 1 from 33 Division, sitting at the back there. If you guys can just put your hands up and identify yourselves. Thank you. I encourage you all when you have the opportunity today, please connect with the NCOs and find out how you can leverage their humanity and the great work that they do in their communities. One of the things that NCOs are absolutely incredible at is connecting with their community, with their residents, finding out what those local issues are and local problems, doing a root cause analysis, and then finding sustainable solutions to solving these problems, solving these issues, co-developing these solutions with the community. And we have 3 former NCOs here that honestly epitomize what NCOs do and what they embody. There are officers from Project Hope. They are the reason why we're here today supporting all of our newcomers to Toronto. I'd like to introduce you next to Sergeant Farzad Ghotbi, Detective Constable Mustafa Popalzai, and Detective Constable Murtaza Popalzai from Project Hope. Thank you.
Good evening, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. It's so nice to see you all out here on this event for such an important topic. 25 years ago, when I arrived with my family as a newcomer from Afghanistan, there was not much resources out there for us, and we faced a lot of challenges and difficulties as a family. It took me literally over a decade to even have an interaction with a police officer, and it was that time period was very difficult for me, and I carried a lot of negative perceptions from back home, and I just wasn't really able to trust police or the legal system. And that is why when we had the opportunity about 5 years ago to initiate Project Hope, we did not hesitate. And now, 5 years later, over hundreds of information sessions later, giving out over $1.5 million of donations, and having hundreds of volunteers and attending so many different events throughout the city, it is truly an honor to be here in front of all of you on such an important topic that affects far too many families. Myself and Farzad, we have visited hundreds of newcomer families as they have came to their new country, Canada. And I could tell you firsthand that intimate partner violence has unfortunately affected way too many of these families. It's usually quite beyond the victims and even the accused. It's the children, it's the families, it's the whole society that it affects. Broken homes create broken children, and that affects not only the immediate family, but everyone in the society as well. So tonight, we have some of our partners that we have worked throughout the last 5 years, and it's so nice to see all of them. We have a lot of resources available. Please reach out, like the people there mentioned. And once again, thank you so much for having us. What's that?
Yes, thank you all for joining us tonight. I just want to touch on a personal story that Mustafa and I have Mustafa coming from Afghanistan, and I'm right beside him from Iran. So we share the border, and we share just more than a border. We share a brotherhood that we've had not only off the job, but on the job. And about 5 years ago, when we were in a gym working out, and we were talking about some of the situations that's happening around the world, and we looked at ourselves, why did we come here from a different part of the world, a war-torn country? We came here for a better hope. And that word resonated with us, hope. Hence what we call it Project Hope, because we all come here to have hopes of having a better future. And that's how it started. We stuck with that name, and we think that everybody kind of feels that way when they're coming to this country here, in the hopes of having that future, in the hopes of seeing their children have much better opportunities than what they had. And I can see that from my parents. They sacrificed everything. But one thing that we didn't realize when we came here is that we stayed isolated. We kept to ourselves. We were scared. We were afraid. We were afraid of the authority. We thought we were going to get deported. We thought we didn't have that protection. We didn't think we had any rights. And when you stay isolated, you sort of open yourselves to other issues that may come arise. And the communication gets lost. So that's why we do what we're doing right now, is to come and make that first initial contact with our community. You don't even have to be a newcomer, and it doesn't matter where you're from or what religion or what you really believe in. Having that contact with somebody that is there, just like with all our police cars says, to serve and to protect. We're here to serve you because we know how far it can get somebody in this society that we live in. We need that. We need each other to help each other out. So that's why we came with the name Project Hope, and we're hoping that you guys are benefiting some good things tonight here, get some education and get to know each other. Most important, getting to know each other and building those relationships and trusting each other, that we can all come together from different parts of the world under one umbrella and enjoy life here and enjoy the freedom and rights that we have here in Canada. So thank you for coming.
Very quickly, one of our reasons for success of Project Hope has been our volunteers. We have over 200 volunteers from our communities assisting us in different programs that we hold throughout the year. And one of our volunteers, Maha Malik, has produced a short video. If you don't mind playing that for our audience, please.
So we have to have a nice little opening, welcoming gesture to say hello to our new Canadians. This is their new home, and we want them to be successful, we want them to be happy, and we want them to feel like they're part of our family.
Thank you, Maha, for that great production there. And I just want to say that the incredible work that these officers do from Project Hope, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that they do all of this on their own time. They're truly dedicated to the community, and just, if we can just give them another round of applause, acknowledge the incredible humanitarian work that they do. Thank you guys for everything that you do, truly. Okay, next we're going to hear from our Intimate Partner Violence Coordinator for the Toronto Police Service, from our Sex Crimes Unit, Detective Shane Miller, who will be delivering a presentation on intimate partner violence.
Thanks very much, and thank you for having me here today. I want to speak about intimate partner violence and the Toronto Police Service and how it affects the community and how and where the resources are available for our community members, and that includes absolutely everybody. It doesn't matter status here in Canada, newcomer or not. We want everybody to know that the Toronto Police Service is here to support our families and our victims to make sure that they're safe throughout the community. So I want to start off with what is an intimate relationship, defined at the Toronto Police Service as either marriage, domestic partnership or engagement, casual or serious romantic involvement, and dating, whether in a current or former relationship. So there may be an incident where somebody was in a relationship and now they've moved on, but maybe one of the partners didn't move on and something is going on. So that's still deemed an intimate relationship as far as the Toronto Police Service is concerned, because there's a risk and safety issue that we need to deal with in those situations. An intimate relationship can occur between persons of any sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, and it can occur in any type of intimate relationship, including monogamous, non-committed, and relationships involving more than two partners. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a relationship, a marriage per se. It can be dating. It can be at any level of the relationship status that people have, because we know that when there's intimacy involved, sometimes the risk is extremely high for personal safety. And what is intimate partner violence? You've probably heard the term domestic violence. It is essentially the same thing. We have changed the language a little bit to be more inclusive, but if you've heard domestic violence, we are now using the term intimate partner violence and have for probably 3 or 4 years, but it is a term that is interchangeable with domestic violence. It's any physical, sexual, psychological harm caused or attempted between persons involved in an intimate relationship, and it can occur in public or private spaces as well as online. That's the newest sort of avenue that we're getting a lot more of occurrences where people are even at far distances away, where they're having these issues through the internet or emails, a number of different avenues at social media that can happen. So what are the facts? Abuse is deliberate behavior with the intention of gaining power and control over the other person. It's not an accident. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens on purpose, right? When seeking help, abuse victims face many barriers, including fear, further harm or injury, self-blame, shame, restrictions on finances, resources, and supports. Victims can experience social pressures to keep their family together and other cultural restrictions. These barriers hold victims back from seeking help or reporting incidents to the police, and we know that. And there are occasions where we don't hear about it at the Toronto Police Service, where things should be reported to us, but we understand that people still need to get supports, and they're available even if you haven't phoned the police. So one of the things I'll be explaining is how to get those supports as well. Physical abuse intimate partner violence can take many different forms. Physical abuse obviously is the most common. Criminal harassment, stalking is another word that they use. It's more of an American term, but it's used at the same level. Criminal harassment is here in Canada. Sexual violence, cybercrime, emotional psychological abuse, spiritual abuse, financial abuse, reproductive coercion, and coercive control. Coercive control is gaining a little bit more public knowledge lately. They're working on trying to make a new criminal code crime for coercive control. It's in the early stages, and it's going to be some time before that actually makes it into law. So again, physical abuse, to define that, it's intentional or threats of physical force, including pushing, hitting, cutting, punching, slapping, shoving, strangulation. So it doesn't have to be something that has, where you've seen on TV or in movies where there's been absolute violent offenses. It can be simply a shove. It can be simply a push. It can be keeping somebody in their house without letting them leave. So there's a lot of different angles that it can show up in, but it is a part that we want to make sure that the public is aware that those are criminal offenses here in Canada, and especially when intimate partner violence is related, it can be highly risky. Criminal harassment, as I mentioned, stalking is another word for that. It's repeated conduct that creates fear for one's safety or the safety of the loved one. It can include making threats, obscene phone calls, following, watching, tracking, contacting on the internet, including through text or email messages. Sometimes we find that they have surreptitiously or secretly put on tracking devices on people's phones, cars, things like that, and are following people without them being aware. Sexual violence, so any sexual act with no consent, without consent, which also includes threats of repercussions for refusing sexual activity, that is a crime. Cybercrime is gaining popularity in the numbers just because the way the internet is growing and access to social media and all of that is being a larger portion of that. So we have some cyber stalking and harassment that's happening, publications, including distributing, transmitting, or making available of intimate images without consent, and voyeurism. And voyeurism is basically defined as taking somebody's picture without their consent when they're in an intimate state. So if somebody is not clothed or using the bathroom or something like that. So all of those are offenses that are criminal offenses here in Canada, and they are offenses that are often evolved from an intimate partner relationship. So the use of technology to facilitate virtual or in-person harm, including observing and listening to a person, tracking their location, sharing, or scaring and intimidating or humiliating a person. We have emotional and psychological abuse, which is very difficult to determine, but it is where somebody is insulting or belittling, constantly humiliating, intimidating, threats of harm, threats to take away children, harm or threat or harm to pets. And then spiritual abuse along the similar lines of psychological abuse, where using a partner's spiritual beliefs to manipulate, dominate, or control them. And financial abuse is probably the most popular in an intimate partner relationship situation, where control or misuse of money, assets, or property, and control of a partner's ability to access school or get a good job or applying for a job working. Reproductive coercion is defined as controlling reproductive choices, pregnancy outcomes, and/or access to health services. And coercive control is patterns of control and abuse that cause fear or terror, including coercion, using force and/or threats to alter behavior and control, regulating or dominating a person's behavior or choices, isolating a person from family and friends, and restricting access to employment, education, and medical care. So coercive control often involves a number of different parts to that, and not just one. Often there's a lot of connecting dots there with coercive control. The City of Toronto has deemed intimate partner violence to be an epidemic. We recognize that that is a valuable statement because it seems like it's getting worse and it's not getting better. And the Toronto Police Service treats intimate partner violence as something that we can get better or to make it go away. So we're working on that. It's going to take some time and it's going to take energy, but these kind of education sessions are what we need to be able to do so that people understand when and where they can call the police and get their help. So we are, the Toronto Police Service is committed to reducing the number of incidents of intimate partner violence and homicides in the community through education and enforcement, through investigating intimate partner violence and incidents thoroughly, and bringing offenders to justice wherever possible. Enhancing the safety of victims and survivors through prompt action, including conducting intimate partner violence risk assessments, providing immediate referrals to other community partners, and building effective partnerships within the community support agencies to ensure a victim-survivor focused response. Ways to help. So, helping a friend or family member who's experienced intimate partner violence by empowering them to seek safety options, helping them identify resources, services, and options available to them, letting them know it's not their fault, and by providing non-judgmental support, you can create an opportunity for them to seek your support again. So they'll keep seeking your support if you keep helping. And one of the other ways is to refer them to our community partners. Victim Services Toronto, I know they're here today with a booth in the back. They are a registered charity that offers support to victims of crime and sudden tragedies. Their vision is to create a thriving community where people are safe, supported, and empowered. So they have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week crisis response program, neighborhood victim advocacy program, which is located in Toronto, 5 different Toronto Police divisions at 14, 23, 31, 43, and 51, and enhanced services, which include case management, high-risk support services. Sometimes our intimate partner violence investigations are deemed a high-risk situation, so it's always high risk, but even higher risk, and the anti-human trafficking program, because that is hand-in-hand often with intimate partner violence situations. So Victim Services Toronto is one of our lead agencies because they are connected within all of our other community resources that are available. And so the Toronto police officer that might be helping somebody in an evening, they don't have to know every single support. That's what Victim Services Toronto does for us. We can provide one phone number, one contact, and then the supports are there in place, ready to go. The referral process is very easy. There's a standard phone number that police will provide to victims of crime in intimate partner violence and any victim of crime, to be honest. It's not just intimate partner violence, but we are speaking about that here tonight. And referrals come from the police, community organizations, hospitals, and other community partners. The mandate is to connect with the client through phone within 72 hours, but often it's within the next day they receive a phone call. The supports that are offered are crisis response program, first priority to a client. Crisis counselors offer emotional support, immediate counseling, and complete needs assessment with the client, and they provide resources and make sure referrals to in-house programs. They help clients create a safety plan straight away and address any immediate practical needs that might be needed. So each individual client has their own plan that's developed on the night or the day that they're dealing and getting help with victim services. Now, they don't support clients through the court-related programs, but we do have a victim witness assistance program that is part of the court system that will help victims that there's a case before the courts when somebody's charged, and and our VWAP workers will assist victims in those situations around court documents and custody or bail information that goes on with family court type relations as well. So our community partners that we have, Interval House is a family shelter that is a safe haven for women that need to be sheltered straight away for safety, women and children. They take women and children there. Children's Aid Society obviously is a huge partner with us. Women's College Hospital, and I'll get into that a little in just one second. And MCIS is a language services. So in any intimate partner violence occurrence, there's free language services that are offered for both victim and the accused, so that we're able to offer supports when the language may be the biggest barrier, that people are afraid to call the police because they won't speak their language. And if a police officer doesn't speak your language, we will find somebody that does. So that shouldn't be a barrier, and we wanted to make sure that people were aware of that as well. That's one of our biggest partners as well on a daily basis. So our domestic violence care centers at Women's College Hospital and Scarborough Hospital Network up on Birchmount, they both have a center that provides support, and victims can go to the hospital and get support, even though they may not be ready to phone or report it to the police. And so that's an important part as well. If you're looking for supports for friends or family or yourselves, that can be obtained at the hospital. The Individual House Shelter, the Shelter Movers, is an amazing organization through volunteer services. They will help people move to a safe place for free. And Safe Pet Ontario also works with where people have a dog or a cat and they can't take them to the family shelter that they need to go to for their safety. And Safe Pet Ontario will have the pet cared for by a volunteer in the interim, and then the pet is returned to the family when they find a safe place, a permanent place to go. I spoke about our language services, and then yourchoice.to is a website that we created. It is mostly related to victims of sexual assault, but there are a large number of questions that can be answered about what happens at court, what happens when I report, and so it's a very similar scenario where it can offer support that people can reach just by going on the internet to yourchoice.to to find out a lot of answers to questions that you might be having. I do appreciate your time. I am available for some questions, and I'll be able to help out with that if that's the case. I do see a hand. That's an amazing question. I'm not 100% sure on the actual victim services, although they are at the back, and it might be a question that they could ask later on in the evening. But they would certainly field your phone call and give you the information if they have it and where to get that. 100% they will have access to somewhere to go to get those questions answered. Yes. Did I see? Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to bring two opposite cases, and those cases are related to 911 calls. So one case is, my name is Shahlo, and I'm from Thorncliffe Park neighborhood. I am leading group of parents of children with special needs. So we serve families of children with autism, newcomers, so we are just helping in providing respite services in some community like inclusive camps in our neighborhood. So one case has happened in one of the families who have two children with autism. So husband was literally woman was in anti-psychological abuse, emotional abuse, belittling her, etc., etc. So one day what happens, the fight between wife and husband, and she called the police, okay? But what happened when police is coming, I don't know what happened, but by what police officer is saying, she was so emotional, that woman, and I understand her, because she was hurt a lot. And when police is coming, the husband started lying, and he was very calm, you know. So what happened? She got restraint order. They handicapped her, not him. And after that, she received this order, and somehow she also received order not to come close to her children, and she was not allowed to meet her children after school, take them home, etc. So they ended up by court removing her from all custodies, so man is happily living with two autistic children and his mom. And it's been already 2 years, and now he's traveling back home to happily married again. But the woman is still lost. She's in depression. She's still in the process of healing. And like my question is like, you guys, how much you train to identify who is lying, who is telling truth? So why this happened? Like it's really injustice towards the woman. It's really like very injustice, and we community members try to defend her and advocate for her, like meeting with some also officers again with our neighborhood. Meeting with some, I don't know, also she went to legal aid Ontario because of like low income. Like this is one of the stories, so I would like to hear your opinion, and like if you receive those kind of trainings, so to say, okay, yeah, this guy is telling, he's lying and she's telling truth. So this is one question.
Yeah, let me address that just while it's here. So we have our intimate partner violence investigators all receive extra training on top of the training that every frontline police officer does receive, both when they're new recruits and then through our yearly training that we go on to. So there is a lot of training in regards to intimate partner violence and investigations, and then when there is a crime that has been realized and charges are going to be laid, that investigation is led by an intimate partner violence investigator specifically. So, but without knowledge from both sides, without having the story told from both sides, we have to go on the information that we have. And so if the information that we have is a criminal offense took place from one party to another, then charges have to be laid. They shall be laid. That's our policy, right? It's around safety for the family. And so if we don't receive both sides of the story, if one person's refusing to talk to us and we only have one person telling us a story, then there's only one story that we have to go on, right? So it does often come out in the court system once people get supports and they get legal assistance and help. Then often what happens is, more information comes forward, but we have to act in the moment because we have to make sure that the two parties are separated and people are safe. So I won't get into any specifics with actual cases. That is something that we could do on a one-on-one, but I can tell you that we do receive the training, and officers have both frontline and our investigators have extensive training with regards to intimate partner violence, and that we investigate to ensure the dominant aggressor is the one that's that we're trying to figure out who's been the dominant aggressor. Often there is a fight. Often there's exchanges that go back and forth, and we're not looking to do dual charges. However, that does sometimes happen, not very often, but we are trying to investigate, and our intimate partner violence investigators have the training to get the dominant aggressor to be held accountable. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. So another thing is why people, like also some cases, as you said, like cases are like increasing from year to year, and this is what we are also experiencing in our communities, more and more like families involved in this like partner violence. And also another issue is why actually in some families we see that after 911 calls, like the situation within family becomes worse, much worse. And let's say there is a call and then the kids involved, right? And right away, on the next day, Children and Society is coming to question kids, and kids starting again blaming mom, why did you call police, etc., etc. So the mom is again under pressure from her family members because too many people starting intervening in her life and questioning, and kids are not happy right now. And I think this process after 911 calls is really a little bit maybe too aggressive. If you would be just suggestion for future, maybe to make this process a little bit more softer and not too much intrusive and aggressive, so children would not be under also pressure, because it all comes again to the poor woman. Because again, family members start blaming her, why did you call right away, etc. And I mean, like many women, like from my community, they regret that they called 911. And when we do some kind of support circles for our families, like our goal is like to make sure like we are not going to call, but we are able to escalate conflicts before calling 911, because really it's like majority families get more into trouble after 911 calls.
Well, right off the bat, thank you for reminding me to tell everybody that 911 is the call is the phone number that you dial when you have an emergency search situation of any sort. So not just intimate partner violence, but anywhere. We also have a non-emergency number, 416-808-2222, and that's a phone number that is accessible where you're not in particular danger right in the moment, but maybe the next day or the day after you've decided to make the report, and that is a way that you can get a hold of the Toronto Police without having such urgency as you're talking about. But 911 operators are extensively trained and will be able to decipher whether there's an emergency situation where police need to be there ASAP, like as soon as possible or not. So phoning 911 does not necessarily mean you're going to get the very first next police officer, because that's up to our dispatchers who are highly trained to make those decisions. So, which is an amazing job on its own at the Toronto Police Service. So please I would say the best part is, two things. We have victim services for people that have called. I do understand that there are family and cultural things, pressures that rely on some of our victims that have called because they're basically calling to save their own lives. And so we've saved their life. Let's do that. And now as a community, we're gathering around them and trying to provide the supports. And that's exactly what we're doing here today, and what we're doing with our community partners, both with Victim Services Toronto and all of the partners that are working with them as well. So thank you for bringing my forgetfulness of telling everybody the 911 number. Thank you. Yes, got a question at the back.
So the question I have is, do we have any programs where we can educate our families to avoid calling 911 and solving the problem at home? Because a lot of the times what happens is some families, they do have issues back home. When they move to Canada, they come here, either the husband or the wife, they keep some grudges. And then when they come here, they think that, okay, it's freedom, and they just call 911. Even they have kids, but they don't think of the kids. And later on, a month or 2 or 3, when they get separated, they regret and they realize that making that call was wrong. And then by making that call, it's already, there is a crack that has happened between the relationships, and it stays there. So is there any way that we can educate these people in making sure that, okay, they solve the problem within the family before getting involved with the police or solving the problem safely with the families?
So I'd like to address 2 points. Thank you for that question. So 2 things in particular. If there has been an assault or a criminal offense, the police are going to be dealing with that through the courts, okay? And then we need to move forward. Whether it happened or didn't happen will be adjudicated by the judge at the court system. We're not part of that. We collect evidence and we bring that forward to the courts. So if somebody is in danger or is being assaulted by somebody else, that's what we're here for. This is what the police are supposed to be doing. Is there regret sometimes because social pressures and family pressures and things all creep up later on? Yes, that happens. And that's where we need to reach out with our community resources and what we're doing here today. Now, going back, if there hasn't been a criminal offense, as Scott McKean was saying earlier, our 311 at the city, with our programs, our family programs, will get you in touch with maybe some family counseling or some services that are available to get into those counseling sort of with family involvement is what's going to help things so it doesn't escalate to a criminal offense, right? So I think that leaning on the community programs that we have at the City of Toronto are huge. And there's a number of different ones. And so by phoning our main number, and I think it's 311, Scott, would it be the best? Yeah, 311 would be the best for that one. And they know which programs would be suited for the particular situation that you would be calling about. So that's where I would go first. Yeah, thank you. Yes?
This may not be a question, but I found some anonymous female individual from social media. She wants to share experience about emotional abuse. Is it all right? I can read the whole story.
I'm not sure that we have time for the whole thing, but yeah, can you condense it down a little bit? Sure.
From this lady, she said that you always think there are signs of an abusive relationship between you're in too deep, but the signs you are presented in a meant to condition you, like a boyfriend who is playfully roast you from time to time, that you have to learn to have a thick skin, even roast back. That playful banner can be slowly shift into a passive-aggressive insult that can actually hurt you in the inside. But he's joking, right? You laugh along, then one day he's joking around again, and you're following the script that you didn't realize. You are been rehearsing for so long, so when his eyes change and actual hurtful venom slips out, you're crying without even realizing you're crying, because everything you're fine. That's what I said. Am I crazy? Is that what I'm thinking? What the heck have just happened? We were just joking around, and now the room is so cold, feeling so cold. You don't let him see you cry because that's not part of the script. You're not supposed to be sensitive. That messes up the vibe. You want to go home. Not because you're offended by his passive aggressiveness behavior, but because you don't want to mess up his vibe. And then you realize that you shouldn't have a thickened your skin to feel comfortable around the people who make you supposed to love you. And that shake and cry a little bit more, that will pack your redacted, because you're getting too old to keep reading this story, and you already know the ending. When he comes back in, come back in and sees you're packing your stuff, he suddenly soft and asking if you're all right. But it's not the hurtfulness, but the softness, acting like nothing ever happened, that scares living the deer out of you and confirms that you have been seeing the mask slip for real. And now you start to grieve the memory of what are you thought to be in your life. It's almost like a death has a thought of a person that you're now with, and now it's a ghost of a being that you were at the beginning. And it's a necessary and a better choice to walk away, but it is hurt the same. If you made it far, thanks for reading. In a nutshell, to summarize this, you did not feel emotional abuse until you far at the end of the relationship. And my question is, if you have a suspicion of emotional abuse, would you like to report to police immediately and contact victim services?
So a lot of that, what you were saying, was going towards coercive control. It's almost the pure definition of coercive control. And so coercive control is something that is not yet a crime. However, there are a lot of portions of coercive control in the background that are going on many times when an intimate partner violence situation does end up occurring. So sometimes it boils over to a point where it becomes criminal at that point. So it should be reported, because sometimes you don't recognize what we would know is a crime. So if a victim has been going through something like that, they can report it. If it is something that is a crime, we will deal with it. If it's not a crime that we can go forward with, we can certainly get you in touch with victim services and help with some counseling. Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted to respond to the gentleman and the gentleman over here. I think it's a really important comment that you made about 911 calls and regret. And I think one of the things I would say is, if something warrants a 911 call, we should never regret it, because it means it's an emergency and we need an emergency response. But I think even with this, the comment that the gentleman was making about emotional abuse and how, there's a long lead up, I think, and going back to your amazing question earlier, I think what I just would like to share with the group, based on my experience, is that building communities and building connections within communities is one of the most important tools that we have to confront gender-based and intimate partner violence. And the only way that we're going to really change like, you know, what's hidden behind closed doors is by empowering communities to support one another. And you know, the way we do that is, you know where the services are. You know where, like some of the services that speak to, that are here today, you know who your teacher are, that are teaching your children. You know the guidance counselors at the schools. And you know that if someone is suffering, that you can even discreetly let them know where they may be able to find support. And in some cases, that may be the 911 call. But in most cases, it can probably be about a trusted relationship who can help you guide to make sure that you make the right call. And if it is 911, then it's 911. If it's to COSTI, who spoke earlier, it's to COSTI. And I think it's about us as communities coming together, educating one another to be able to understand how those services come together and how, you know, just how to access that and how to look out for each other. What are the warning signs? How do we look out for each other? And if someone is victimized, to reach out and offer support. I think that's the most important thing. And all of these services have different avenues, as Shane has talked about, different avenues and ways in which they can support. But we just have to look out and make sure that everyone knows where to turn to help. That's why this conversation tonight, all of the staff that are here, connect with them, get to know them, and go back home and tell your friends. The most important intervention, and it will govern who you call for what. Hope that helps.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you.
Just want to add on here, one thing, way back with Scott here, back in Regent Park days, when I was a neighborhood community officer, there was a lot of times we get people come to me and ask questions about, you know, the family situation. And oftentimes I didn't even know how to answer them correctly. And that's why we have the resources that we do now. We didn't have them as much then, but it's growing over the time. And I would come to ask Scott, and Scott would be the one who would be actually helping me out. So in essence, we were kind of working side by side, and this is the reason why we have this program's involved here with the Neighborhood Community Officer Program. It's there for you guys to utilize to ask those difficult questions, and we are able to answer you without having to resource to the point where it gets to where you have to call the police. We have officers in every neighborhood. They're your neighborhood community officers, and they're there all the time. And even if we don't have them, we brought here COSTI here, Popalzai. These are the resources that are there on a daily basis. They're boots on the ground, and these are the people that we have to connect to. That's why I said, when we first come to this country, we're not equipped with all the information. And the worst thing we could do is get isolated and not talk and not communicate. And communication is key. Getting out there is finding out who your local neighborhood officers are, who your local resources are that can sort of help you out with these kind of situations and not let it build up inside. So it's important to reach out. And it's about relationship building. And when you build those strong relationships with one another, you're able to help each other out as a community. And I think that's very, very important. So yeah, as great as our information is about the law, it's even more important that we get ourselves, empower ourselves, and empower the young people to get involved, to get to know your neighborhood as much as possible so we could help each other out. So when you see somebody that needs help, you're able to give them a little bit of hand.
Thank you. Question in the back?
I just need some kind of advice here because I have a team of frontline staff who are in the field, and some of the sessions when they are most likely they're always ladies, when then they get to know that she's not safe at home. However, the woman does not want to report or go to the police. So they always call me and say, "Hey, Jackie, what do I do?" Most times when the children are involved, I'll always tell them to, take another step. But when they're at home and they see PAS come, and then the next day they will come back to my staff and they're like, who told you to call CIS? So what would you do if you're maybe you're doing a needs assessment with this woman or lady, and you discover that she's actually not safe at home, but she does not want to go to the police?
That can be a very difficult situation because really it's probably something the police should be involved in, but if she's not going to be reporting it or telling us, it sounds like that's what we're trying to deal with today, having more community input, more community supports. But I would say referring her to the hospital, to the domestic violence care center, would be the very first step, because that would give her the supports, the counseling and the family supports straight away without having to report it to the police. And it might give her the strength that she needs to get her to where she could call the police. Now, at the same time, they also can refer, if her needs are very dire and she's in a very dangerous situation, they can also refer her to a family shelter where her and the children can go for their safety and immediately be cared for, and yet still the police haven't been called. So the hospital domestic violence care center is an amazing, they have all of they can also refer to victim services, they can also refer to other programs, and they can also refer to shelter safety for people that aren't ready to phone the police at that time. We find once those people get supported fully, they start to recognize their strength, and then they often do come forward to us, and then we can go ahead and do our part to try and prevent future events from happening.
I know it's a difficult situation because at times they just don't want to go to the hospitals or even come to us, but they are in a tight situation because you don't want to involve police because the client has told you not to involve police, and then the following morning you come back and say, oh, something happened. So it is kind of
Yeah, I understand, and that's why I'm saying like the additional supports through the domestic violence care center at the hospital, where people can go to the hospital. You can tell your family members, I don't feel well, I'm going to the hospital, and you can go and get the supports, and it's not something where I'm going to walk, I'm going to the police, or I'm going here. And if that partner happened to be maybe tracking their partner by their phone or whatever, they're at the hospital. So they're getting all the supports and everything straight away, and then that way we can get them into safety if we need to through their support system, for sure. That would be the best way. I mean, you have to recognize my experience is when people call us, so I can tell you what we do when they call us. And what I'm trying to hope for is people will call us, because these interventions are what are necessary in order to break that cycle, because the cycle of violence will continue if it's not broken. That we know. I think there was one other question. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Thank you so much again for the presentation. I'm also coming from the City of Toronto's Social Development Unit as part of the Family Wellbeing Program. And one of the things, just a little bit about the program itself, is to look at that preventative lens. And to your point, there's an element of intervention when it needs to happen, especially in moments of crisis. And then there's that element of preventative work that also has to happen, coinciding with the work that the partner agencies that receive city funding, for example, to do this work. And one of the things that was mentioned, I think, was around the idea of isolation and that feeling of loneliness. And I think it goes without saying that during the pandemic years, many of us, it's like that elephant in the room, it catalyzed a lot of these issues that were taking places already in the homes, but as a result of the fact that we were all now kind of in the homes now, whether it's work or school, the kids are being told to come back home. It just, with the realities of a lot of the newcomer families, and I also reside in the Thorncliffe neighborhood, is that it's underhoused, right? So you have a family of 6, 7, potentially in a 1, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom unit, and then it's just a lot of the emotions of uncertainty. You may potentially have lost your job as a result of COVID. You may have potentially, been impacted in terms of your ability to focus on your education. Once then you were told to go back into the school, And I think just more so a comment than a question in terms of, and I think a challenge for all of us, is it is a community effort to try to address the intimate partner violence. Is that from the policing lens, it sounds like it is that intervention base. But from our community opportunities to bring that education awareness, even in the languages that are spoken in the community, because that is the missing gap, I think a lot of times is, aside from the cultural relationship and trust building that happens with volunteers and staff in community, is how much of the resources are also translated in the languages of the individuals that need it the most. And I think that's been an experience and a learning for us at the Family Wellbeing Program as we do this work. And just very, very briefly, I think there has to be an element of understanding that there's intergenerational traumas that take place. And not to defend by any means the perpetrators of violence, but there's an element, a human element here that speaks to what may have they gone through in their life, right? Whether it was a particular experience that they saw in their family, right? When we talk about ACEs and the adverse childhood experiences, there is an assessment tool that looks at that. And many of those individuals that are unfortunately perpetuating violence in the homes is as a result of the fact that they've also experienced it themselves. So how do we humanize this element of addressing intimate partner violence and recognize that we all need some sort of level of support at some point in our lives as well? Thank you.
Thank you. It's just kind of reminded me to speak a little bit about a program. It's called the PAR program, Partner Assault Response Program, and it is offered out of the courts after a case has been evaluated by a Crown attorney, and they will, and if it's one that's applicable, then the offender will be the one that can go through and get a number of counseling and identifying. They start recognizing their behaviors. They start recognizing things that they didn't know that they were doing around coercive control and things of those natures, and that kind of behavior. And so that's a great program that is in place for sort of an early onset scenario. But that is not offered on every case. And if there's especially violent or something where weapons were used, it's not an offered scenario, but it is offered in a case where there could be some good value out of having that training for the offender as well. Yeah, thank you. That is what I was speaking with earlier about our intimate partner violence investigators having additional training, and it all revolves around it's victim centric, so it's about who they are and how they're reporting and recognizing their where they are and where they came from and who they are. Now that's all part of the investigation. You have to understand with policing, there's a privacy thing that comes in. So having people in while the police are doing an investigation is not something that can be done out of privacy issues that would happen. Now that's again though where we're talking about using our community services. Things are getting the word out where there's victim services and through the City of Toronto, the family counseling or things that could come up. If it's not a dangerous situation, but if it's a dangerous situation and somebody's called 911, we need to be there. We need to help them, and we will get there and get the help immediately. And then the healing process starts, and that's where victim services will come into play, where we can get them referred to maybe more cultural specific group where they can then be part of. And I know that we were talking about before people feeling that sense of aloneness and not getting out and maybe at home too much. And again, getting into the community where you feel a part of that community, that's an important part. So that's what we're doing here today, which I appreciate everybody out here today getting the word back out again. And having that ability to recognize, and that's really what this presentation was about, recognizing when it is dangerous for somebody, and the police should be involved. And if they're willing to call us, we will help, right? Because if it's dangerous, not calling, well, we know it can get it can lead to very serious and more crimes occurring that are even worse. So sometimes we think we're helping by not calling the police, and then something worse happens, right? And so that's what we're supposed to be, we are doing, we're interjecting ourselves to get there, and then the separation, and then the rebuild occurs from that point. So our IPB investigators are the ones that have that extra training with those investigations, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, appreciate that.
I apologize that we had to cut the question period short. Unfortunately, we have limited time in this space today, and we really want to give everybody the opportunity to visit some of the our partner agencies at these tables here tonight. Detective Shane Miller is an absolute expert in intimate partner violence, and I'm sure if we had him up here for another couple of hours, he can field another couple of hours of questions. So your questions and comments are very much appreciated. He'll be here for a while if you want to connect with him. But to close up the evening's events, I'd like to bring back up to the podium Superintendent Anthony Paletta.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, I really just want to re-emphasize that this is a difficult conversation to have. It is difficult, but it is very important. And I want to thank each and every one of you for the very difficult questions you've asked. We recognize, the Toronto Police Service recognizes that intimate partner violence is complex. It is very, very volatile. We recognize that. We also recognize and have the belief that prevention, crime prevention in general, is a shared responsibility. And our efforts, more than ever recently, have been collaborative with our community partners, with the community agencies that are here to represent the services they can provide, the communities that we serve. So I believe that having these forums, like the one tonight, has achieved its goal. And I say that because we are having a conversation. We are having important dialogue to learn from each other, to understand what some of the concerns are when 911 is called. And Detective Miller has clearly communicated that safety and well-being is a priority for the Toronto Police. We also know that by bringing these agencies together, like the City of Toronto, Scott, it's good to see you again. And sorry, I missed your first name. Thank you very much for sharing your comments. We work very closely, again, now more than ever with our city partners. And we recognize that through a collaborative approach, we can better serve everybody. And please, feel free to talk to the neighborhood community officers that are here, to the tables at the back. You know, there's a lot of individual stories that I wish we could have an answer to. For example, your specific question, it's just not feasible because we don't have all the details, and it would not be appropriate to say, you know, what actually transpired. But it's not uncommon that these stories and concerns get reported back to the police. So I then say, this is exactly what we want to do. We want to learn from each other, and we want to be able to improve the service delivery and improve the trust we have as law enforcement in our communities. So, in closing, I just want to say, again, a very big thank you to everybody who's here, all our volunteers, all of the community partnerships and engagement unit, Project Hope, and the Ismaili Centre. Again, thank you very much. Thank you to the City of Toronto for being here tonight. But my final thank you is to each and every one of you. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for sharing your thoughts and your dialogue with respect to intimate partner violence. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also follow us on social media, and for more information, check out our website.